Is the customer always right? Well, today we're going to have a chat about whether or not the customer is always right. You've probably heard that chestnut before, and I'm going to give you a little insight into a lesson that I got today, or a surprise that I got today on my real life lessons from a business coach. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about this box right here, and I'm going to explain to you what's in here in a second. But before I do that, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about understanding that sometimes if you know you're in the wrong, you know the old saying, the customer is always right. Well, you've probably heard that saying before, and I'm not a great believer in that, the perception of that saying. It's not about whether or not the customer was right. It's about understanding that the customer has a perception that maybe of an expectation you haven't met, and you need to take ownership for that. And I think that's really what that saying is all about. So there are times that a customer is not happy, and it doesn't matter whether or not you think you've done the right thing or not. If they're not happy, the message they're sending you straight away is that they don't feel like you've met their expectations. Well, about some a year and a half, maybe about a year and a half ago now, I signed up for a service with LinkedIn Recruiter, and that service was a 12-month agreement, and it ran into the many thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to have this particular service. And the whole idea of this LinkedIn Recruiter was to help my talent acquisition manager recruit the right people into my business. So it was a fairly important decision that I made, and I was fairly hopeful that this particular solution was going to help us with recruitment, because for those of you that have your own business, you would know that the face of recruiting is changing. Where we advertise our positions that are available is getting more difficult. So I'd signed up for this service. Well, it wasn't very long before I realised that what we had signed up for, we weren't receiving. And I got sort of halfway through and made 2 payments and decided not to pay anymore until I fixed the solution. And I was getting demands from LinkedIn's accounts department about paying the bill, whilst I was talking to an account manager who understood why I hadn't paid the bill, yet the 2 departments weren't talking. The accounts department was starting to make threats. They were in another country. I said, hey, you need to ring me. I can explain this. They said, we can't ring you. We're in a different time zone. And I said, I'll take your call at any time. Didn't matter what I did. They just didn't want to play ball. They just said, we've got to collect this money. And I think there are some instances where we've got to make sure we step back and go, okay, if a customer's not paying because they're not happy, then we need to have a chat with that customer. We need to work out what it was that they expected and what didn't we deliver. And it was a great lesson, because here was a big organisation. They were growing very fast. I even had one of their managers here in my boardroom with their own admission that they had grown too fast and that they did not have the ability to service everybody, and that I wasn't the only one. Today, I got something from them that proves to me that I wasn't the only one, but it's just a great marketing piece. How to turn a negative into what could be a positive. Today I received this by courier. It's a humble pie, and it says, a serving of humble pie by LinkedIn. And when you open it up, inside here it actually says, where is it? There we go. There it is there. It says, yes, we've eaten a slice. And it says, and we recognise a few reasons you haven't realised the full potential of your LinkedIn investment. So now here they are now making an admission that that we didn't receive what we paid for, and that they want to try and fix it by inviting us to some lunch or something. It does say they've eaten a slice. There actually isn't a slice missing. I think it would have been better marketing, by the way, if you're from LinkedIn marketing, if there was a slice missing. But it's good to see they're doing something about it, and that they have recognised that there's a bunch of unhappy customers. I'm obviously not the only one. You wouldn't go to the trouble of a bakery baking up a whole bunch of pie and sending it out unless you realised that you needed to do something about the fact there was a lot of unhappy customers. Personally, I'm still not seeing value out of the solution, and that's a big challenge for them. It's a huge challenge, because it's obviously a business solution that they were selling that they believed in. But not to worry about LinkedIn, because this is not about LinkedIn. What this is about is just understanding that as a business, if a customer is not happy, regardless of whether or not you think what you did was right, regardless of, it's not about proving who's right and who's wrong. It's not even about the customer being right. It's the fact that somebody's paid for something and they're not happy. What are you going to do to fix it? Really, I would like to, I'd like to see my money in here. That's what I'd like to see, rather than a pie. But I know for them, what they want to do is they want to keep the business. And so they're making an attempt to do that. I don't believe that they're really I don't believe they've worked hard enough to save the business. I can't see myself renewing. And so it's just a good lesson for us all in business that if a customer's not happy, listen to what they've got to say, have a good hard look at yourself and take ownership for why that customer isn't satisfied with what they've received. And sometimes it's okay to say sorry, which is, this is what that is. This is a sorry pie from LinkedIn. There you go.